Welcome to Shannon Johnson Elementary Veterans Day Program. I am JC Darst. Our program is brought to you by the 5th grade. It looks a little different this year because of the pandemic, but we still want to make sure we honor all men and women who are veterans. Our theme is Honor Through Education. Today is November 11th, the day that we celebrate the people who are serving and have served our country through the U.S. military. They may have served in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, or National Guard. Whether they serve during wartime or times of peace, they are all still willing to serve. Veterans can be people in our families or that work in our schools. They can be our friends or neighbors. The people that we call veterans sacrifice and give a lot to protect our country. They miss time with family, holidays, special events with their children, and they risk their lives for our country. For these reasons, we take time out of our day to say thank you to those men and women who served.
At this time, we would ask that you stand up for the pledge and remain standing with your hand on your heart for the national anthem. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hello, my name is Hannah Ellen, and I want to share about my hero, my grandpa Bobby Wynn. He served in the United States Navy for 4 years during the Vietnam War. Because of his service, he traveled to many places like Australia, Korea, and Hawaii. He was stationed in California and Virginia. My grandpa is my hero because he is not only the best grandpa ever, but I'm so proud of his service to our country.
My name is Katarina Ebert, and my mom is currently serving in the U.S. Navy. She is currently deployed or actively serving in Bahrain, a small country between Saudi Arabia and Iran. Over here, this X is where we are, and way over here, this dot is where Bahrain is. There is a 7-hour time difference, so at 12 o'clock, our lunch time, it is already 7 at night there. She is not home to watch me play softball and missed my first over-the-fence home run and received MVP award. She has missed all our birthdays and holidays since February. I get to FaceTime with her about 6 minutes a day if it works out. Because of social media, I get to see what she is doing in Bahrain, and she can see pictures of my accomplishments. This has been hard for my family, and I'm so very proud of her.
Hello, my name is Kinsey Mays, and I have the honor of introducing our veteran speaker. Brigadier General Benjamin F. Adams III serves as the Executive Director of the Kentucky Department of Military Affairs, and through 40 years of service in the U.S. Army, Brigadier General Adams served with honor and distinction, culminating in his positions as Deputy Commanding General, U.S. Army Aviation Center of Excellence, and Assistant Adjutant General, Kentucky National Guard. Director Adams also served as the 5th Commissioner of the Kentucky Department of Veterans Affairs under the Bevin administration. He received his commission through the Reserve Officer Training Corps program at the University of Mississippi. He earned a Master's of Business Administration degree from Xavier University and Master's of Strategic Studies from the U.S. Army War College. He has commanded at the company, battalion, and brigade level and served as Deputy Commanding General of the United States Aviation Center of Excellence. His significant active duty assignments include tours of the United States Army Aviation Center, Fort Rucker, Alabama, the 101st Airborne Division, and the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, Army Reserve Personnel Center, St. Louis, Missouri, and the Combined Forces Land Component Command, Kuwait, and Baghdad, Iraq. After serving on federal active duties, General Adams joined the Kentucky Army National Guard and served as a military technician as a Commonwealth State Army Aviation Officer, Aviation Brigade Commander J1, Army Chief of Staff, Director of the Joint Staff, and finally as the Assistant Adjutant General. He has earned numerous awards and decorations, to include the Distinguished Severe Medal, Legion of Merit, Meritorious Service Medal, and Air Medal, Joint Service Commendation Medal, and numerous other awards and decorations. He is a Master's Aviator and is airborne and air assault qualified. General Adams is a member of numerous professional organizations. He is married to the former Shelley Barney with four grown children and 3 grandchildren. It is my pleasure to welcome Brigadier General Benjamin F. Adams III.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you, Ms. Kinsey Mays, for such a thoughtful and kind introduction. And a special thank you to Ms. Robinson for your invitation to come and speak at Shannon Johnson Elementary School. This day we honor American veterans for all the wars, whether they currently serve or not serving. It gives us opportunity to show our gratitude for the sacrifices they made to protect our freedoms. Today I'd like to talk with you about why we celebrate veterans on November 11th. Did you know Veterans Day was once called Armistice Day, and it began over 100 years ago? Armistice Day commemorated the end of the fighting of the war to end all wars, what we call World War I. It was determined between the United States, Germany, Great Britain, and France. Yet it symbolized the end of the war, but the true end of the war did not occur until 1919 with the Treaty of Versailles. And hopefully your teachers will be able to talk with you a little bit more about the treaty and what it meant. But the importance of the truce or the armistice and why we celebrate November 11th is because this truce was signed on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month in 1918. And a lot of countries that were involved in World War I celebrate this day the same way, but some countries call it differently. Great Britain and Canada call it Remembrance Day. In fact, this day was so important that the United States, in 1938, the government recognized this as a federal holiday. But unfortunately, as you know, we've had several wars in between from 1938 to now. So Congress went back and in 1954 decided to call it Veterans Day because they wanted to recognize all the veterans that fought in World War II and Korea and all the way up through today. But who are these veterans that we talk about and why we celebrate them? I mentioned earlier that a veteran is someone who is a former member of the armed service or the military. Branches of the military, the Army, the Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, and Coast Guard. And veterans have served during times of war and in peace. Ask your parents if there is someone in your family who is currently serving in the military, or maybe a grandfather, an aunt, or a cousin who is retired from the military. Maybe you have a picture at home of someone in your family that had worn the uniform. But remember, veterans are not just family and friends, they're everywhere. They don't always wear the uniforms or talk about their service, but what makes it all more important to acknowledge them and the sacrifices they have made, whether on Veterans Day or any other day of the year. There is one thing I'd like to do is challenge each and every one of you today. There are 6 things that I'd ask you to do and take home to your mom and dad and talk about. First, say thank you. If you're out in public, and you see a man or woman in uniform, ask your mom and dad if you can go up and tell them thank you for their service. It will simply mean a lot to those individuals when you come up to them and tell them thank you for their service. Next is read a book. Ask your mom and dad about a book that you could read about military, about families in the military, or any of the things that refer to veterans, and you can get those at your library, or ask your mom and dad to see if they have some at home that you can read. Talk about the freedoms. What freedoms do you enjoy? Everyday liberties that we have that our veterans have given us. Next, more importantly, is talk about sacrifice. Members of our military often go long periods of time away from their families. They miss the important things, the holidays, the birthdays, but they are out there protecting our freedoms with their sacrifice to their own family. Now, these next two are probably going to have to wait until after COVID goes away. But one is ask your mom and dad about a veteran organization nearby your home. It could be a Veterans of Foreign War, an American Legion, but ask them to contact those organizations and see if there's something you can do for them that would help the veteran and their community. And last but not least, attend the Veterans Day Parade. Every November 11th, every community has a parade recognizing the veterans. Now again, with COVID, we can't do it right now, but next year, hopefully, we'll be able to do that, and ask your mom and dad when your community may be having a parade. Attend, wave American flag, and thank them for their service. But again, today, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for allowing me to come and talk with you about being a veteran. I've enjoyed my time in the military. As Kenzie said, I've spent most of my life in the military and been all around the world. But again, it really has been a pleasure, and thank you very much again, Ms. Robinson, for allowing me to come speak here at your school. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tucker Childers.
And my name is Colton Hunley.
If we are honoring military heroes through education, we must know the appropriate behavior for saying the Pledge of Allegiance, National Anthem, for a moment of silence and taps. For the Pledge of Allegiance, National Anthem, and playing of taps, your behavior is the same. Stand tall, face the flag. If there is not a flag, then face forward. Remove your hat. Men and women are both expected to remove unisex ball caps, but ladies only decorative hats, like those worn for the Kentucky Derby, can be left on, as well as uniform hats for performers or flag bearers. Hats can be in your right hand over your heart. Take off sunglasses if you are outside. Do not talk, do not eat or drink. If you have gum in your mouth, stop chewing. You are encouraged to sing along with the national anthem, but not louder than those around you. It is considered improper or not appropriate to clap at the end of the national anthem. When the color guard is presenting the colors or the U.S. flag, you are to remain standing until the flags have left the floor. During a moment of silence, you are expected to bow your head, stand still, and honor by being silent. It is our responsibility as Americans to not only show respect to our flag, but to the men and women who fought for our freedoms.
Day is done, gone the sun. From the sky, from the lake, from the hill, all is well. Safely rest, God is nigh. These words are the lyrics of Taps. The bugle call, played at military funerals, is ingrained in the American culture as music of mourning. But it wasn't always that way. Taps started out as a military signal for soldiers to turn the lights out and go to bed. The bugle song evolved over many wars and conflicts into becoming the signature song for all of the 5 armed services to honor soldiers who have lost their lives fighting for their country. A moment of silence is also observed on Veterans Day. It is taken to honor soldiers who lost their lives fighting for our country. On November 11, 1919, exactly 1 year after the end of World War I, this tradition was started. It became an official part of the annual service for Armistice Day. Now, it is very well known across America and is taken when a soldier or veteran passes away. A moment of silence is also observed after a tragic event such as 9/11.
It is important as young Americans that we understand the reason for these traditions so that we can keep them going.
Would you please rise for a moment of silence and the playing of taps in remembrance of those veterans who are no longer with us. Please be seated. I'm Kennedy Shepard. I want to thank you for watching this year's Veterans Day program. To our students, thank you for being a good audience. We hope that you will help teach others about what you have learned today, and as a way of honoring our veterans, and so that your behavior will be an honor to those who have served in our great military. To our veterans, we are so thankful for your service and your sacrifice so that we will be able to be free and sleep in peace at night. We hope that you feel honored and that next year we will be able to invite you back into the building. Thank you again for your service and happy Veterans Day.